Okay, how do you know you're being tested on the 11th Amendment? There are pretty limited circumstances under which you would be tested under the 11th Amendment, which gives states immunity from suit in federal court. Now, the amendment says that a state is immune right from a suit from a citizen of another state or from somebody from outside the United States. Courts have interpreted that to mean, however, that a state is immune from being sued in federal court, whether it's a citizen of another state or a citizen of the same state. Now, lawyers have figured out some workarounds around this 11th Amendment immunity. So the way it works generally is a person cannot sue a state by name in federal court because states are immune. So that leads us to, how do you spot this question or this issue in a fact pattern? Number one, obviously I need somebody suing, and the 11th Amendment refers to that as a citizen, of some state or even of a foreign country for that matter, I need somebody trying to sue a state. And so that brings us to both of the first two bullet points, somebody suing a state. Now be careful about this, because there are lots of different people you can sue. You can sue a county, you can sue a public school district, a state university. We're talking here about a person suing the state of Florida, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Maine, a person suing a state. That brings us to bullet point number 3, by name, as in state of. Joe or Jane, who is a citizen of Michigan, sues the state of Michigan, the state of Missouri, pick a state, any state, and sues the state of Michigan, the state of Missouri, in federal court. That's the final bullet point. Now, without these four, and we're going to talk here about an alternative way to test this in a second, but your typical 11th Amendment violation, would involve these four components, appearing in the fact pattern. I try to emphasize this with students, Somebody suing a state by name, at the state level, not some subdivision of the state by name in federal court. In general, the 11th Amendment would bar that suit because states are immune under the 11th Amendment from that kind of a suit in a federal court. Now, whether you should raise the 11th Amendment if somebody else is being sued, like a state university or a county or somebody like that, probably is up to an individual professor. If I were you, when I'm studying this for the bar exam, I would check with bar exam course instructors about whether and when to bring it up. I can speak for myself. I don't like students bringing up the 11th Amendment unless there's a clear possibility of an 11th Amendment violation. If there's no 11th Amendment problem, then to my mind, the 11th Amendment is not an issue. And again, when it is an issue is when you see this particular fact pattern. Now, I've seen exam answers, and I've mostly seen, because I'm teaching in Florida, Florida bar exam essay answers, for constitutional law. And the Florida bar examiners don't release a model answer. They release what they consider the best student answer, or the best examinee answer. And I have seen answers, examinee answers from the Florida bar exam, where no matter who's being sued, the person who wrote the answer raised the 11th Amendment, even if it was just to say the 11th Amendment would not bar this lawsuit, and to explain why. So that you just got to figure out on your own. Again, if you're taking me for Con Law 1, I don't want to hear about the 11th Amendment unless there's an 11th Amendment problem. And again, the most typical way you'd see that, again, is a person, suing a state by name, suing a state by name in federal court. Now, the way around that, of course, the primary way around that is, instead of suing the state, to sue an official of the state, and ask for injunctive relief. So I want to talk for a moment about a second way you could have an 11th Amendment violation, and it's, again, a four-component fact pattern for a violation of the 11th Amendment. This is an alternative. Again, you'd have a citizen, of somewhere, trying to initiate a claim, suing. But this time, instead of suing a state by name, they'd be suing a state official. The problem in the second type of fact pattern would be that the plaintiff is asking for money from the state treasury. And if money is coming from the state treasury, then a court cannot pretend, right, that you're not actually suing the state itself. So it's one thing to sue, right, sue the governor in the governor's official capacity and try to get an injunction, right, to order the governor to stop doing what the governor is doing, right, because whatever the governor's doing is allegedly a violation of federal law, right, usually the Constitution. But if you are suing the governor in the governor's official capacity and you ask for money, right, then that money wouldn't be coming from the governor personally, it would be coming from the state treasury. And so, again, if you sue an actor at the state level and you ask for money, you have yourself an 11th Amendment problem, because the real party in interest is obviously the state, because that's who's paying. Again, that would be in federal court, right? There's no problem, under the 11th Amendment with suing a state in a state court, right? So watch out for that. Suing a state in a state court for money damages, well, then you have to deal with state law and governmental immunity and all that stuff, but that's not an 11th Amendment problem. Okay, now keep in mind your handy checklist right here for the 11th Amendment. Once you've spotted the issue, because you see somebody either suing a state by name in federal court, right, at the state level, or you see a person suing a state level official in federal court and asking for money from the state treasury. Okay, now you've spotted the issue, right, these are the rules. You may not sue another state in federal court by name. You may not sue your own state by name in federal court. You can sue an individual state actor in federal court and ask for injunctive relief. You can't ask for money damages, right, if you're going after an individual state actor, right, in their official capacity. Now, numbers 6 and 8 here are important. Subdivisions of states do not enjoy 11th Amendment immunity. 11th Amendment immunity is based on the idea of state sovereignty, and a county or a city is not a sovereign, right? The state is the sovereign. So subdivisions of states, like I was mentioning, state universities, public school districts, counties, municipalities, in most cases, unless you're asking for relief out of the state treasury, you can sue those entities, right, in federal court. And you have to be wary of number 8, right, abrogation. Congress can abrogate state 11th Amendment immunity when it's enforcing the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. Right, Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, you need to know that. Section 5 of the 14th Amendment authorizes Congress, right, to enforce the Equal Protection Clause against the states. And if that means taking away their immunity, then Congress can take away their immunity. Again, a thumbnail sketch of the Equal Protection Clause. Generally speaking, when you see Congress acting to protect people on the basis of race, ethnicity, citizenship status, gender, or the marital status of the parents when they were born, right, once called a terrible word, illegitimacy. Right, when Congress is acting to protect people that fall into one of those groups, those are called protected classes. And so when Congress protects those groups, it is exercising its power to enforce the Equal Protection Clause, right, under the 14th Amendment. So keep that in mind as well. So that's the 11th Amendment, how to spot an 11th Amendment problem, and a quick outline of what the rules are under the 11th Amendment. Hope that helps, and we'll see you for the next one.